Hello, I am Jonna. I will be reading Where She Fell by Kaitlin Ward. Chapter 1. Life is just a series of moments that you frame to make yourself look like the hero. That's something my friend Sherry likes to say. It's not fun if it's not a little bit stupid, is another thing she says. Sherry is excellent at both being the hero and fun. I'm excellent at neither. It is an unreasonably warm spring day, and my parents consider AC a waste of money, so I am already sweating at 8:30 in the morning. My backpack lies empty on the bed, looking deflated. I leave it and stand in front of my window fan, gazing out over the driveway like that'll make Sherry and my other best friend Meg magically appear, even though it'll be at least another half hour before they do. Lately, I haven't been that excited when they come over. Meg and I have been best friends since grade school. Sherry joined us at the beginning of ninth. I never expected how this would change things, but here we are. Today, I am excited though. Yesterday, even as it made my entire body go numb, I texted them both that I wanted us to go cave exploring, and they actually agreed. I turned back to my bed and my empty bag. If we're going into a cave, I need to fill it with supplies, but I put it off. Part of me expects Sherry to text and say she's found something better for us to do. Something social, something that'll make me come home feeling like a wrung out sponge. After a light knock, my partially open door widens and my younger sister Mara's face pokes through. Mara's 15. Our birthdays are almost exactly a year apart. She's loud and pretty and extroverted. The sort of person who I can take 100 selfies in a row and look perfect in all of them. Who came out of the womb knowing how to use makeup. People want to hate her, but not as much as they want to be her friend. I can't find my mascara, Mara says. Can I borrow yours? I ask Claire, and she says she doesn't want my eye germs. Borrow whatever you want. I gesture to my dresser, which has a semi-organized array of jewelry and beauty products sitting atop it. Mara always asks Clara for things before she asks me, and I don't know why she bothers. Clara is the oldest and very protective of her stuff. Thanks. Mara starts pawing through the stuff on my dresser. She turns back to me with her fist clenched around a mascara tube and an eyeshadow palette. What are you up to today? Gonna take Sherry and Meg to the cave Clara and I found last weekend. Mara wrinkles her nose. How are we related? I laugh because she says it with affection. My sister and I are very different people, but we get along pretty well. Most of the time. If one of us is adopted, it's definitely you. She sticks out her tongue but doesn't contradict me. Well, don't die out there. I'll try not to. She whisks out the door and I laugh and I watch her retreating back. Sometimes I envy Mara. The easy way she interacts with people, how she's always wrapped up in the kind of teenage experience that Sherry thinks I should be more interested in. And it's just her nature. School may not come easy for her as it does me, but school's going to end someday. Interacting with people is forever, which is why I force myself to participate even when it turns my heart into a hummingbird. With a sigh, I start filling up my backpack. Sherry and Meg are absolutely not going to come prepared, so I need to bring plenty, at least when it comes to snacks and lights. I start with a tiny observation journal. I have journals strewn all over the place in here, but I don't like people to see what I've written, so I pack a blank one in case we see something neat. I fold a spare outfit on top of that in case I get dirty, and a light jacket in case it gets cold. A flashlight, cheap headlamp, and pocket knife on top of that. The small first aid kit my mom insists upon goes on top. Several snacks in front pocket and a water bottle in each side pocket. As an afterthought, I throw in a few spare batteries, even though the two lights plus my fully charged phone and my friend's phone. We should be perfectly fine. Eliza, Claire calls up the stairs. Your friends are here. Coming. I put my backpack pocket my phone and hurry down the stairs. Claire likes Meg just fine, but she and Cherry do not get along. Claire's an introvert like me, but she's more okay with it. She's been playing piano since her fingers could fit the keys, and she's going to University of North Texas on a full scholarship next year. She's a learner, and it doesn't bother her, and I admire it. The way she just goes for her goals and doesn't worry if she's missing part of the teenage experience because, as she told me once, you don't miss something you don't want, Eliza. Sherry finds Claire's attitude unhelpful. She's always telling me I don't want to regret missing out on something, and the something I'll miss out on is not sitting in my room organizing rocks, apparently. Claire gives me a thin-lipped smile. It's almost like looking at my own face. All three of us are red-haired and freckled, which is funny, since neither of our parents are, but Claire and I share the same shade of green eyes, the same long nose and oval face. Be careful, she says, glancing at my friend standing in the doorway. You know what it is, and it isn't a good idea. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. I heave an extremely large sigh. Yeah, got it. I know. I'm not Mom, Claire says. But Mom's not home right now, so I'm filling in. I roll my eyes but smile because I know she means well. Claire's always taken it upon herself as oldest child to look after the rest of us. And Marl's taken it upon herself as the youngest to test boundaries. I've never quite figured out what my role is, to be honest. I'll be home by dinner, I tell her, and then I'm out of the door with Sherry and Meg. What's the backpack for? Sherry asks as the three of us get into her car. I'm in back, as usual, because Meg gets car sick. It's good to bring some stuff when you're going into an unfamiliar cave. I enter, buckling my seatbelt and hugging the backpack protectively. Meg and Sherry exchange a glance, and I get a pit in my stomach. What? So we're definitely still going to the cave, Sherry answers quickly. Definitely, because we promised, but we have to go somewhere else first. And where's that? The pit grows. Drown or swamp, says Meg. What? No way. Why would we do that? I lean forward, gripping the back of Sherry's seat. Sherry swats half-heartedly at my hand. Don't distract me while I'm driving. We'll do your thing after, but Helen said he'd pay $50 if we take a selfie at the swamp. Where? Like, at the sign? No, she rolls her eyes. Next to the water. She pulls off onto a dusty trail road less than half a mile from my house. We didn't need to make this drive. We could have walked, but I'm guessing Sherry didn't want to have this conversation within earshot of Claire. Sherry, this is beyond stupid. Sherry, this is beyond dumb, I thought. Eliza, please, can you not? Meg interrupts. I absolutely cannot handle the two of you fighting today. No one else in my life is allowed to be fighting right now. I close my mouth at once. Meg gets upset pretty easily by arguing, and I can't blame her. She lives with her mom and her brother, both of whom are extremely manipulative. Her house is constant drama, and I can only imagine how exhausting it must be to live there. I try to always remember and respect that and make her life easier where I can. You promise we're going to the cave afterwards, I say, breaking a very long silence. Sherry twists around her seat. I promise. Then I guess we can do this. Sherry and Meg open their car doors unison, and my fingertips start tingling unpleasantly. My gut tells me I was just played, and I don't know how to get out of this. My friendship with Meg has had its ups and downs over the years, but it's always felt comfortable until Sherry came into the picture, replacing comfort with adventure and leaving me wondering where I fit. Middle sister, middle friend. Wherever I go, I'm kind of stuck. I hop out the car, shouldering my backpack. I almost leave it behind, but honestly, I'm more likely to need a first aid kit here than in the cave. By the time I shut my door, they're already walking well ahead of me. Easy and comfortable, like they're the ones who's been friends since grade school. I rush to catch up, feeling sick. Living within walking distance to a swamp, there's one thing my parents impressed upon my sisters and me more than anything. Don't go near it. The anonymously named Drowner Swamp isn't particularly huge, and we don't have the same dangerous swamp creatures here in upstate New York that you might find in, say, Florida. Now, alligator will pop out and chew off my arm, but the ground's unstable, and there are snakes. Reasons enough, in my opinion, to stay far, far away. The walk isn't too long, and mostly it follows the hiking trail we parked at the base. But once we veer off into less traveled territory, I can hear my mom's voice echoing in my head with every step. Do not go near that swamp, Eliza. People die there. How sure are we about the $50? I asked. And why does he even want you to do this? Sherry shrugs. She's ahead of me, so I can't see her face when she says, Elijah's weird, and we're sure he will pay because I will make him. She won't, is the thing. Sherry can say that Elijah's weird all she wants, but she will do pretty much anything he suggests, or at least she'll appear to do it. I don't like the bitter edge to all my thoughts about my two best friends right now. I love them both, but as our sophomore year has gone on, we've gotten closer, and I've started to feel like I'm trying to hold water and clench fists every time I'm with them. Meg's quiet, which means she's brooding about something, which means she wants me to ask, so I do. Her response is a twist of her hair around a finger and a slow-moving frown. Everything's fine, she says. Mom's just commenting on my eating habits again. Immediately, I'm low with anger. Seriously, you eat fine. I know. She folds her arms tight, but you know how she is. I'm up 2 pounds and the world is ending, basically. I wish you could just come stay at my house, I say. Or mine, Cherry adds quickly. Then with a glance and a small smile at me, she says, we could trade you. Meg laughs. Well, just over 2 more years until you guys can fight over who gets to room with me at college. Be warned, Cherry says to me. I plan to win that fight. Yeah, you wish, I say, even though we both know that if it comes down to it, she will win. She always does. Tell me about this cave we're gonna go to, says Sherry. I narrow my eyes at the back of her head. Whenever she shows a slight interest in something geology related and I take the bait, it always seems to find a way of coming back to haunt me. Claire and I found it last weekend when we were hiking. We didn't really go in, but we went far enough to tell that no bears or anything live there, and that it goes for a little ways. I'm hoping it has some interesting formations. Bears? Meg says. Bears live in caves sometimes. I feel like you already know that. I guess I never really thought about it. Don't worry. I pick at a nail. There definitely weren't any around. Sherry edges carefully around a very overgrown raspberry bush. I follow her and then stop. Here we are, Drowner's Swamp. It doesn't look like much, just a bunch of grass and flowers, and scraggly trees leading up to a narrow body of water. The water has some grass clumps sticking out here and there, too, and scattered dead trees. Next to me stands a big sign that reads, Danger, an excellent reminder of exactly why I didn't want to be here. Mom's disapproving voice no longer echoes quietly in my head. Now it's practically a scream. I picture the newspaper articles she's been forcing in front of our noses since birth. Every time something bad happens here, we shouldn't do this, I say. We're gonna get eaten by something. Sherry scoffs. No, we aren't. When was the last time anything bad happened here? What even lies here that could hurt us? I don't have a good answer. People don't come to the swamp unless they're idiots like us. The ground is prone to sinkholes, deep ones. It's nice that Sherry's able to forget poisonous snakes exist, but I'm all too aware. As much as I like nature, I could do without the snakes. My eyes sweep over the ground before me, the center of the swamp with its crystal clear still water and dead tree trunks. The rim of bright green algae around the water's edge, and the lumpy grass tuft around extending between there and here. We shouldn't even be this close. It's not like wild animals respect boundary signs and leave you alone till you pass one. I don't know when the last time anyone got bit by a snake here was. I say carefully. Sherry asked the question, but I keep my eyes on Meg, who's my better bet. If I want to call this off. But someone did supposedly get pulled into a sinkhole like 3 years ago. Meg's mouth is thin, silent line, but Shirley rolls her eyes. Well, you want to see a cave. Aren't you the one who believed that ridiculous urban legends about this place? I should have known she would throw that in my face. I love that urban legend because it's weird and it's cave theme, not because I actually believe it. If I did, I would run. The myth is kind of a journey to the center of this earth type situation. The reality is that a lot of people have disappeared over the years, usually under mysterious circumstances. According to legend, when you disappear, you find some tunnel that leads deep into the earth, like all the way in. Being a total geology nerd, I know how ridiculous that is. No, let me rephrase. Being a human over the age of 10, I know how ridiculous that is. You wouldn't get too far before you'd melt like a marshmallow over a fire pit. But that's besides the point. You know that's made up, I say quietly. And you know that isn't smart. Sherry glanced over at the swamp, and for the first time I noticed a hint of something like fear in her eyes. I can tell that Meg noticed it too. It isn't the smartest, Sherry admits, but I already said I'd do it. You know I don't back down. I don't say anything. It's futile, especially after she and Meg exchange a look, one that tells me they're discuss something without me. I fold my arms to squeeze against the bad feeling, growing bigger in my stomach. If we're going to do this, then let's go, Meg. There's no point standing here by the stupid sign. Sherry tosses her mane of dark brown hair and takes a step forward. Meg and I follow quickly. It's best not to be left in Sherry's dust. They're both wearing boots and I'm wearing sneakers. It did not occur to me that my footwear wouldn't be ideal here. Mainly because we weren't supposed to be here in the first place. Of course, their footwear would be totally inappropriate in a cave, which I suppose is telling. The toe of Sherry's boot catches the gate between two roots of a squiggly tree, and she wraps her hand around the trunk with a small cry. I freeze, listening in case she startled something that might eat us. My boot's stuck, she says, tugging. I'll help you, Meg crouches beside her. Eliza, you go on. What? I fold my arms again. No way, I'll wait here. Just go, Sherry says. Desperately, you're the one who knows about sinkholes and crap, so you're the one who can avoid them. Find us a good path. You can't tell me where one is. My voice snaps with impatience. That's what makes them so terrifying. We'll be right behind you in a sec, Meg says. Don't be a wimp. Tingling in my fingers is getting worse, which happens to me a lot when I face confrontation, especially with my friends. I don't want them mad at me, freezing me out. The feeling is pretty much always an indicator that my anxiety has reached levels where it's easier to give in, so I give in. Fine. I turn away from them, settling my eyes on the water, and I start toward it, watching the ground for signs of instability. Problem is it all looks unstable. The ground is muddy and oozing between grass tufts. Swamp plants and algae squish
wetly beneath my feet as I carefully transfer the terrain. Edging closer to the deepest part of the swamp, the water where deadly snakes are probably waiting in hordes. Cold water seeps through my sneakers, shocking my toes. I glance behind me at my friend. Sherry doesn't look like she's trying too hard to free her foot. And I'm starting to get an unpleasant feeling that I sometimes get when they're secretly laughing at me. Go on, Sherry shouts. The knot in my stomach burns. I press a hand to my wrist like that'll help. This is much worse than Sherry's usual ideas. I could be killed, and for what? I'll deal with whatever mocking ensues. Elijah's $50 is not worth my life. I turn carefully back toward them, trying not to ruin my shoes. 3 steps later, the ground collapsed. The space beneath my feet is suddenly empty. My body lurches, and I grab for anything my fists can grab. My fingers snag around a broken root, and I cling to it with all the strength I possess, holding my upper body above the surface. My eyes lock with Meg's. Hers are widening with horror. Sherry's foot isn't stuck anymore. I reach for the root with my other hand, but it's slick with mud, and my grasp slips. The world goes silent except for the sound of blood pounding in my ears. My muscles trembled with the effort of holding on. The walls of the gaping hole are too slippery for me to get a foothold. My hands slide further down the root, and there's nothing else to grab. Time stops. My stomach flips inside out. The root is all that stands between me and death, and I'm nearly at its end.